Well, I'm so glad we were finally able to meet. Thank you and welcome. For the first part, I want to just apologize for the delay in getting you in. Appreciate your willingness to wait. So I wanted to start our time today just giving you a sense of what to expect from our time together and see if you had any questions. Are you a person who's been through that therapy before? Have you seen a few counselors? Awesome, okay. So I'm probably going to keep this a little bit brief then. This is Brave Spaces Informed Consent. And it's very similar to a lot of therapists' informed consents. A lot of things are the same. But there are a few pieces that are specific to Brave Space that I wanted to call out. The first, I just wanted to briefly mention who's here in the office. Most of the folks here are employees of Brave Space and so are covered under this contract. It means that we get to do some clinical supervision together and may be able to consult with each other. And the front desk person is open for scheduling with all of those folks. There are also people who rent space from us, and they are actually in their own private practice, so they're completely different businesses but practice a mutual kind of philosophy. So if you're ever interested in working with them or getting services from them, we would have to do a release of information and a referral so that you could work with them. I did want to mention that I am supervised here at Brave Space. My clinical supervisor is Ryan Loisel, and so there will be times where I'll be consulting with him about our time together, and he may give me feedback on how to move forward with you. So just wanted to mention that. A few of the other things about working at Brave Space, we definitely work in a small community. And it's totally expected that at some point in all of this time, we are going to have kind of blurred boundaries and blurring of relationships. So your therapist may see you out in the community at some point, or they may know people that you know. And so we ask for therapists to kind of give you the lead in setting the tone for that relationship outside. So the therapist will not kind of like talk to you or like make eye contact until you give the first nod of like how you want to navigate that situation. And sometimes it's helpful because I work with a lot of folks in the community. It is sometimes helpful that if you are going to be mentioning somebody you know, to not use their name. That can help me really stay objective and not know who you're talking about. It has happened once or twice where I started working with someone and their friend was also my client. And so once I was knowing that that was happening, it made it really hard for me to not have shared information that you hadn't shared with me. So just not using names can be helpful in keeping all of that confidential and clear. I also wanted to mention that you may or may not be interested in moving forward with medical care while you're here. We absolutely support people as they move forward with medical care, and we definitely practice an informed consent process with that. We don't believe it's our role to make you prove anything to us, for us to vouch for any kind of part of your identity. Our mission is really to be of support and use to you. So our therapists have a lot of information about the medical procedures, the next steps in care, the people, the providers you could work with. And so we really want to be here for your process. If you're ever interested in moving forward, all you have to do is talk to your provider and we will help you with that process. Last I wanted to do was just kind of briefly mention this piece of paper that I'm talking to you from. There are a lot of things in here that are your rights, your processes for if anything is going wrong here at Brave Space or if you just want to know more about counseling. So this is available to you both on our website. I will also give you a paper copy if you would like. If you don't want a paper copy, that is fine. You know where to find it. And the last thing I wanted to say about counseling and just what you can expect from me, I practice from a pretty action-focused model. I believe that my job as a therapist is to see where you're stuck, see where you're maybe having some blind spots, and to provide insights and other kinds of information to help you move through those blind spots. Our work together can be kind of challenging in that way and bring up some emotions. But I'm really committed to also being uncomfortable myself. So you are at any time welcome to give me feedback, to tell me that you want me to practice in a different way. If you ever want to tell me that you don't want to do a thing that I'm offering, totally awesome. I would really welcome your pushback. My commitment as well is to notice if any of the things that I'm doing are causing tension for you, and to maybe account for them before you even have to tell me. I believe it's very hard sometimes to give feedback to a person in power, so it is my commitment to making that an easier experience for you. So that's kind of the overview. I'd be really happy to answer any more specific questions you might have about BraveSpace, about my role, informed consent kind of stuff. Great. So let's go ahead and fill out the consent form. This is basically saying, yes, I would like to continue working with you. So let me break down what we kind of went over. So this first section is a little bit of what I've already said. It also references other parts of the informed consent document. So if you want to read any of that before you sign, feel free. This next section talks about how I protect your information, how I hold confidentiality, the limits thereof. And this section here is about fees. Since you are working with OHP, you are going to pay $0 for our sessions. If that ever changes, if you go into private insurance or lose insurance, we would have to have a conversation about how you would pay in that case. And then this part is where you can give me more explicit permission to use communication. Texting and email is stuff that I can do, and it's less confidential. One of the ways it's less confidential is that we do share a phone here, so any texts or voicemails that come through it may be read by a different therapist. So I recommend that you keep voicemail and text pretty much to scheduling, and that you use email as a more providing more sensitive information, unless you're concerned about that getting stored on the server. The last bit I would say is about how I have to talk to insurance. So we do have to give them the assessment and the treatment plan, and they can get information about you at any time. The one piece that usually is most relevant for folks is how we have to reference name and gender that's on insurance. If you've changed it, no worries, we will just use the right name and gender for you. If your insurance still has your old name and gender on it, then we would have to put that in some places on our documentation. But the bulk of what we do is really affirm you as the right name and gender. We will also change that as soon as you get it updated on your insurance. So just know that that's real. Do you have any questions about this? Great, then let us sign.